Hello there and welcome back to the Aqua Open Source YouTube channel. My name is Anais. I'm the open source developer advocate here at Aqua. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can set up the Trivy operator to forward its metrics from your security reports to Prometheus and access them in a really nice dashboard on Grafana. We get lots of different questions about how you can access security reports in a different format other than the CRDs that are presented to you in the cluster after the report is run, right? Like it's one format to query the CRDs. However, it can be a really time-consuming and annoying task. In addition to that, before digging into the details within the CRDs, you just want to see an overview of what is the security posture of your cluster, of your different services, of your different namespaces and applications. And that's exactly what you need a dashboard for. Additionally, if you have access to your security reports, to your metrics in Grafana and Prometheus, you can set up alerts on critical vulnerabilities, critical security issues, either through Alert Manager, through other tools that are integrating directly with Prometheus, and there are lots available in the ecosystem, or through Grafana alerts. There are multiple different options to keep you notified of the different security issues and get you to resolve them. If you prefer the written version for this tutorial, the link is below in the description to the tutorial on the Trivy Operator documentation. Now this video is structured into two parts. In the first part, I'm going to walk you through the tutorial step by step on how you can set up the Trivy operator with ServiceMonitors enabled, so you can access then the metrics from the Trivy operator service directly in Prometheus and Grafana. I'm also going to show you how you can install the kube-prometheus-stack Helm Chart with discovering all ServiceMonitors that are available in your cluster. And then I'm going to show you how you can use PromQL to query metrics from the Trivy operator in Prometheus and how to set up the Trivy operator dashboard in Grafana. And since a lot of these components are quite abstract when they are happening within your cluster, I'm going to show you in the second part of this video in a diagram, an Excalibur, on how everything works together to better visualize it. Let's get started. So on the Aqua Security GitHub organization, we're going to head over to the Trivy operator. And in the Trivy Operator GitHub repository, you will then find the link to our documentation. And on the documentation, we have a section for tutorials, and you will find it's not merged into the live documentation yet, but you will find the tutorial in the written version right here. So this is the tutorial written in Markdown. So this is obviously not how you would look at it. You would look at it in a nicer version on the documentation, hopefully soon, with the next release. So basically, what you need to follow the tutorial is you need to Helm CLI installed. Link below is also the link to where you can install it. I'm probably going to add it here. Then you need access to a Kubernetes cluster through kubectl. So kubectl get nodes. I have a 2-node cluster just for demonstration purposes on DigitalOcean. You will have problems with smaller clusters such as kind clusters because they don't have DNS properly configured. If you're using microkits, make sure to enable DNS. So once you're on the cluster, you need to create a monitoring namespace. Okay, kubectl create monitoring namespace. Okay, get namespace, and here's our list of namespaces, including our monitoring namespace. Awesome. Next, we need access to the kub-prometheus-stack chart. Now, the chart will install both Prometheus and Grafana, so you can, and everything related basically to Prometheus and Grafana that you need. In the repository of the chart, you will find the values YAML file, and that's where we will know how to modify the chart. But before we go to modifying the chart, we actually want to add the chart to our Helm repository list. So we're going to do that with the following command. You will see that I already have the chart added. So I just want to make sure with Helm repo update that all of my current repositories that I have access to are up to date, so I can install the up-to-date version of each chart. Next, we have to set up the values YAML file for Prometheus. For that, we're going to create a Prometheus YAML file. Values. .yaml, and then we're gonna open it up and we're gonna paste the values YAML file as specified in the tutorial in here. Now, as you can see, we have, this is the most important line, we have in Prometheus, the Prometheus-stack, we have ServiceMonitors selector nil users Helm values. You have to set it to false, so Prometheus can actually access all of the service monitors within your cluster. And now we can go ahead and we can install the chart within our cluster. Here's a command on how to install it. So let's go ahead and install the Helm Prometheus-stack chart with our prom values that we just defined inside of our cluster. So now we have it installed. Awesome. We can now open our cluster either through kubectl or K9s. I have the kubectl commands here as well listed. But you just want to make sure that all of the containers in your monitoring namespace are up and running properly. And now that we have that, we can go ahead and we can also add the repository for our Trivy operator to our Helm repository list. Now, if you haven't run a Helm repository update before, please do that now. That's important, especially if you already had access to the Aqua repository. Next, we have to set some things also in a separate values YAML file on the Helm chart. So we're gonna Trivy values create a file with Trivy values YAML, and then we're gonna open that Trivy values YAML, and we're gonna paste the configuration for Trivy. Now we're gonna say the service monitor has to be enabled, and for Trivy, for the vulnerability reports, we're gonna say ignore unfixed. So we're only gonna see vulnerabilities that have already a fix available to it. We're going to close this file, and then we're going to go ahead and install the Operator Helm Chart. Now, for that, you want to make sure that you're using actually the latest version of the Operator Helm Chart. Now, this is a tutorial, so just cross-check every time you're using a tutorial the versions that they are correct, that they are installing, basically. So we're going to go ahead and install that, and it's also going to install in the Trivy system namespace and create the Trivy system namespace upon installing. And it's installed. Amazing. So let's open our cluster again, and we should see all of the pods. And as you can see, the Trivy operator is just spinning up. It's just running, right? And it already started all of the different scans. These are jobs, one-time jobs, for our different container images within our cluster. So it's a one-time job for each container image to scan them for vulnerabilities and produce, based on that scan, then the vulnerability report for that container image. Now, alongside the vulnerability report, which we're going to see here soon, we also have config audit reports. We have and you can see here all misconfiguration issues within my cluster for the different services, for the different applications. And alongside that, we also have our bug assessment reports. Basically, are there any misconfigurations in the role-based access control within my cluster? And we also have exposed secret reports that basically tell me, are there any secrets exposed in my cluster that should not be? As you can see, there are none, which is amazing. So this is that. Amazing. So now I want to show you where you can access actually the Trivy operator metrics. Because for that, you have to port forward the Trivy operator service. And here's the command on how to do that. Now, I'm going to use K9s again, and I'm going to look for service. And then here, the Trivy operator service, I'm going to port forward that forward to port 8080. So on localhost, port 8080-metrics, you can see all of the metrics from the different reports. Now, like mentioned, these are going to be very difficult to look at like this. And alternatively, what you could do is query the CRDs. So you could basically say, okay, you want to describe the CRDs. See everything that's wrongly configured within Trivy itself, for example. And here you will find more information on each security issue. on each configuration audit report. Now, these metrics are going to be used for us to query Prometheus now. So we're going to exit this. And now we're going to port forward to Prometheus, to the kube-prometheus-stack chart. Now you want to make sure that you specify the name here differently, PromQL, because I named the release Prom, and that's why it says PromQL-prometheus-stack Prometheus chart. I'm going to access localhost 9090. So on localhost 9090, what you want to do first is go to status, targets, and make sure that you can see here the Trivy Operator target, and it can actually scrape the endpoint that we have here for metrics, right? And then we can go back to graph and we can say some, and we can say, for example, vulnerability reports. Where are they? Let's look for the Trivy vulnerabilities to see all of the vulnerabilities within our cluster. And we can execute the query. And as you can see, there are 451 different vulnerabilities within your cluster, within my cluster, hopefully not within yours, of different severity. Next, we want to add the Trivy Operator Dashboard here from Grafana to our Grafana dashboards. And for that, we first have to port forward as well Grafana. So here we're going to port forward it to localhost 3000. Now the username will be admin, and then as password I'm going to use prom operator. If you named the Helm installation differently other than prom, then you have to make sure you rename that. And we're going to log in. And now you can find here in dashboards, browse all the default dashboards. And we want to add a new dashboard. And we're going to actually import it, new, and then import. You want to click import, and we're going to provide the ID. The ID can be copied here on the link, but it's also 17813, and we can copy the ID to our clipboard and paste it here and load the dashboard, import it. We have to select Prometheus as the data source, and now you will soon be able to see the different, say, past 6 hours. So change the time. So you can see a quick overview, number of vulnerabilities, number of misconfigurations, then exposed secrets are 0, RBAC assessment issues. And here are our vulnerabilities with all the vulnerabilities for each container image. And we can also see the vulnerabilities over time. Here's the summary and the breakdown, critical, high, medium, low, and unknown vulnerabilities. We have here misconfiguration issues, RBAC assessment issues, and then exposed secrets over time. So we can, for example, say, okay, if there's a new exposed secrets, then please provide us with an alert. And that's the dashboard. Now you can add additional panels or remove panels depending on how you see fit here as well. Like always, all of the resources used within this video are linked below in the description, so do check them out. If you have any questions, either open an issue on the GitHub repository or create a discussion on GitHub. We're a big fan of discussions on GitHub. Or post to us on the Slack channel. Also, the link to the Slack is below, so if you want to stay up to date with the latest news within the community, do check out the Slack. Join the Slack channel. So how does actually everything interact on our cluster? Well, if this is our cluster, Kate's cluster, we have in our cluster different namespaces, and let me just change the color of this. So we have here our monitoring namespace, for example, monitoring, and then we have over here our observability namespace, or our app namespace, monitoring namespace, and then we have here our observability namespace, right? Observability namespace or monitoring namespace, however you want to call it. Now on here we have our Trivy operator, And then we have here Grafana and Prometheus. And Prometheus as well. And it doesn't matter like on which node it is, right? This is like just the logical separation of namespaces within our cluster, and in each namespace we have the according application. Now, the Trivy operator also has a service, right? So this is the service of the Trivy operator. Now let's make that maybe in turquoise. The service, and the service has an endpoint of metrics. And basically, here's our app, let's say, and let me walk you through what exactly happens. So this is your application, and the application has a container image, okay? This is the container image, this thing, right? So when the Trivy operator spins up, it will look for any container image in the cluster that is not yet scanned. So it will go ahead and scan the container image. Scan container image. And from this scan, it will then produce as a second step. So this is step 1. And step 2. It will produce vulnerability report, okay? And the vulnerability report lives within the same namespace as the application or as the container image that has been scanned. So this is the vulnerability report or the security report. It could be like a misconfiguration report. It could be an exposed secret report. There are different reports that the Trivy operator will produce. And within the vulnerability report, that's a CRD in Kubernetes. And I'm going to show you, or we have seen already, what the CRDs look like. And this is based on this container image. And you have lots of different kind of security reports within your cluster. Okay. So based on this security report, whether it's a vulnerability report or another one, it will feed into the metrics. Step 3, feed metrics. Okay. And populate the metrics. That's what will happen next. And then we have at the endpoint, at the Trivy operator service endpoint of metrics, we will have access to all the metrics. Now, these metrics don't look so nice. And that's why we want to have Prometheus query the metrics. But for Prometheus to query the metrics, we need a service monitor. And the service monitor can be installed. Let's change the color of this into red. I hope that, I don't know how colorblind people can see this. So I hope you can read it. If you know, I should probably look into that, but if you know, then please do let me know in the comments, because I'm right now a bit concerned about the different colors I'm using. So the service monitor is going to be installed with everything in the Helm chart for the Trivy operator. So this is coming from the Trivy Operator Helm Chart. Helm chart. This is where this comes from, and we can set service monitor enable to true, and then Prometheus can access the metrics through the service monitor. That's how Prometheus accesses the metrics, and you can query them through PromQL. And then Grafana can access them through Prometheus, and we can visualize them in our dashboard. This is ultimately how it all looks like, how it all interacts. I hope this makes sense. Like, let's put this as step 4 or something like that. Now, Prometheus and Grafana is for us going to be installed, both of them, through the kub-prometheus-stack Helm chart. Okay. So through kub-prometheus-stack Helm chart. This is how we're going to install it. And we also have to set some of the variables, we changed some of the variables in the values YAML file to ultimately install the kube-prometheus-stack Helm Chart so it can automatically discover all the service monitors within your cluster. I hope this makes sense. Now, whether you're installing the Trivy Operator Helm Chart through Terraform or through kubectl or Helm or anything else, this is ultimately how it will work, how it will run. In addition to the vulnerability reports, we have several different reports as well of our different container images in different configurations within our cluster. If any of this does not make sense, then please do comment it below, and I can elaborate on this in a separate video as well. As always, I really hope this video was useful. If it was, please do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for upcoming videos. It would mean a lot to me and to the team. If you're a Trivy user, consider giving us a star on GitHub to show your love for the project. We also just started Trivy office hours. They are happening once a month on the first Wednesday of every month. So do check this out. The link is also below in the description and we would love to see you there as well. I hope you have an amazing day and to see you in one of our next videos. Bye bye.